A warm welcome to Anuradha Vedic Astrology. Today, we are going to talk about the sexual aspect of married life. But before that, a big thanks to all of you for liking, sharing, and subscribing to our YouTube and Spotify channels and writing in your comments and your suggestions there. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do. And do remember to press the bell icon so that you can get the updates ASAP. When we talk about the married life, there are many times we come across people in our consultation who have a lot of issues with their spouse and with their partners. So, what is it that on which levels can it expand? It can expand on all the 5 levels of physical, mental, emotional, financial, and spiritual. Today, we are going to look into the physical side of things. Many a times we come across people who say that on a physical level, on a sexual level, their spouse can be neglecting, their spouse can have an over enthusiastic nature, which can create problems for them. So, how do we work on that level? Just that we know with the surfeit of data that we find on internet, there are many things that can bind us towards the outside world, and that is a result that people end up neglecting their spouse. But for that, there must also be something in the chart that can show a neglect or an over enthusiastic nature. What is it in the chart that brings about that kind of a nature? So here, first of all, we're going to talk about the D1 chart. But it is also very important to find the similar combination in the D9 chart to cement that nature of a person. And at the end, I would take you to understand if there are certain combinations in your chart, how do you deal with them yourself? So, when we're talking about problems in marriage on a physical level, the planets that can cause that are a combination of Mars and Rahu, or a combination of Mars and Ketu, Venus Rahu, and Venus Ketu. Let us talk about these planets one by one. When we talk about Mars and Rahu, Mars we know is the passionate energy, and Rahu has the ability to expand whatever it is showcasing. I have made videos on retrograde Mars, again retrograde Venus, which talks explicitly about the sexual energy. You can always look into that for more details. But here, when we're talking about the Rahu and Mars combination, it gives in a lot of passion to a person. Houses involved also will look into, but just so that you can understand it better, there's an example of Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein had his Mars and Rahu in the 8th house. It gave him an ability to research, to help be instrumental in making the atom bomb. But that was also the energy that gave him many affairs in life. It was a very active energy in his chart. Again, Elizabeth Taylor, in her chart, there is a combination of Rahu and Venus, which again gives a lot of uh, sexual energy to a person, especially an exalted Venus again in the 5th house. So there we find that these two combinations of Rahu Venus and Rahu Mars, though I have also made separate videos on this combination, and there are a lot of things attached to it, which you can always look into. But here we are talking about the sexual energy, which is overactive in case of a person, and that can cause a lot of problems for the person at the other end, the partner, where the partner may not be willing to handle this kind of energy. The energy at the polar end, other end, is Mars and Ketu or Mars and Venus. Sorry, Mars and Ketu and Venus and Ketu. Here we see an anomaly, that is, the person is not willing to take part in a physical relationship, may not be willing to look very beautiful, to preen, etc. And then the person would probably feel like a fish out of water when you're thrown into an intimate relationship. These are very vital points that one needs to remember and see while matching charts also, and looking into your horoscope to adjust to certain lifestyles, to just to certain situations. This is important because then a person will be able to decide what they want to do in life. Let us again look into the houses. Again, this, as I said, this Mars Venus, Mars Rahu combination is very instrumental in seeing whether a person can have relationships outside of marriage, especially when you have the fifth house or eighth house or 12th house applicable. Because this Rahu Venus, Rahu Mars combination can occur in any house. Do they necessarily mean that the over excitement of a person in a physical relationship will be showing? It will be showing much more. The touchy feeling and the feely emotions will come out when Rahu Venus or Rahu Mars is very strongly associated with the 5, 8, or 12th houses. The neglect, disinterest, or the awkwardness in a relationship will come out more strongly when we find a Ketu Venus or a Ketu Mars relationship. Specifically in a Ketu Venus relationship, we find that the person moves on more towards spirituality and takes up towards sannyas. Again, a Saturn Ketu relationship can also show a strong disinterest in the partner. Especially if it happens in the third house, the seventh house, or the 11th house. So this ways we can see a disinterest in the partner or a relationship to be there. And if there is a disinterest, obviously we understand that there is not going to be any physical intimacy per se. The fifth house is a house of love, and it shows it's a house of flamboyancy. When Rahu Mars or Rahu Venus is there in that house, it typically shows a person having a flamboyant nature who would spend and who would expect the spouse to look good and everything in that house. The eighth house is a house of hush hush, or should I say it's a dark house where things are kept under wraps. So typically the eighth house can show relationships outside marriage along with the 12th house because it shows bed pressures. And here we understand that these two houses, if they have a strong connect, then the relationship outside of marriage will flourish more. Moreover, if Rahu is situated in the 8th house and Mars in the 12th house, it is a gone conclusion that Rahu would be aspecting Mars or that Venus or the Saturn for that matter. Not that Saturn, Rahu and Mars or Venus, and has the propensity of a similar reaction. Finally, we come to certain nakshatras which are very strong on all these things. The Krura nakshatras, or rather the aggressive nakshatras, be it the nakshatra of Uttarashara, Purvabhadra, Uttarabhadra, Aslesha, Jeshtha. We also can find this similar thing in Swati, Mula, and also we find these expression in the nakshatra of Vishakha. So here we find the person will have a very strong, passionate nature, especially if Mars or Rahu gets placed in this nakshatra. However, if there is Ketu placed in these nakshatras, it kind of tones the physical effect down to a great level and tries to bring up the spiritual side. There are many a times that I have found this working in the chart of people. Since this is an extreme private issue to talk about, this is not advisable, especially people would not want their charts, even if it is anonymous, to come on board. So keeping that and respecting that attitude, I am not able to put in the charts, but it works very beautifully. Also remember, if Ketu Mars aspects the 8th house, the 12th house of a person's chart, there the person would not be wanting to get into a relationship, especially after a huge fight. So these are things that one needs to be told, that this is what your life is showing, And many a times all those issues snowball into a divorce. So if you can read all these things into the chart, if you can work out certain clauses regarding Rahu Mars or Rahu Venus, where you expect your partners to be passionate, you expect your partner to be flamboyant, and the partner is able to work on those lines, or a Rahu Ketu, Ketu and Venus, or Ketu and Mars, then we can expect the partner to be negligent, or we can expect the partner not to be so very loving or caring, and we can adjust to that or given to that um, lifestyle. Then we will be able to live peacefully, make adjustments with our own chart, and probably at one level come to self realization that we need to head into a different direction. Do keep in mind that these particular combinations of houses and planets and nakshatras show a diversity of things. However, since we are talking just about the married life and the physical sexual side of it, these combinations are important and they show a very strong impression in a person's married life. Another thing that we need to know is that these combinations can be present in the D1 chart where they can show a lot of things. But until and unless they are supporting evidences in the D9 chart, say with the same planets, the same houses, the nakshatras, because we do find nakshatras working in divisional charts, then we can surely, with a lot of certainty, tell a person how to go about handling their physical side of married life. Till we meet with you again, stay tuned.
Please hit the
Thank you.
bell icon for fresh updates. Don't forget to like, share, and comment on the videos, and please subscribe to our channel.